I'm making a Metroidvania based in a secret underground research facility where everything is escaped and is threatening to take over the world. Been working on creating a playable demo to release on itch and Steam, and we've added a lot already, like a character with a state machine, combat, and bosses like this cute little guy. Do you think that when you beat this walrus, you should be able to ride him? Let me know. Last week, our goal was to create a tool to help us create a map. Every Metroidvania has a map that is slowly revealed as you explore. We started by getting a reference to our core level. This can be any level in the game, but we don't have many right now, so it's just this one. We take that and we take a little peek inside, and we look for two things: the room transitions and the tile map. The tool will then crawl through each transition, see what it connects to, and places some detail there. Now, originally it was just the tile map that the level is, and we created a smaller version of that for the map. So I created a second tile set that I just draw cubes over. Then what I do is I take the used tiles in that tile set and I draw cube polys for each point, which does exactly what we're going for. Then, as an added benefit, we use that exact same tile set to figure out where the player is during the game and highlight that point. We also set up exploration so we can log which tile we've been to and keep track of it. So it only shows us those tiles when we open up the map. Now, just like everything else we've made so far, it needs to be made to look good. So what's the plan this week? We need to create a status screen where you see all the upgrades and power-ups, so the player can check their progression as they play the game. We might even give them the ability to turn off and on different abilities. We also need to look into a crest, charms, or jade system, whatever, every game has a name for this kind of thing. Basically little things that you can collect to slightly alter the way that your character plays. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. If you're on Twitch, give us a follow. We're streaming development on Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays, 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully, I will see you there. Let's get started. Hello, how are we doing? It is Wednesday, 6 a.m. And we're here. Alex Eats Cesium, welcome to the chat. Alright, we are looking at... Look at my headphones. Crests, charms, whatever you want to call them. We're trying to make them. And the music is way too loud in my headphones. There's a couple of different ways I can solve that problem. Let's go like that. And then we can turn up. That's still a good level. Okay, cool. Okay, so I've been working on the UI. It's kind of funny, I've been thinking about this. It's like, I want to just make the thing, but like, until you have a UI, it's like, you can't really interact with it, so you have to make the way to interact with it first, and then you can make the thing. It's like, if you make a crest or like a charm system, I don't know, you're gonna need to make like a fair few of these things. But yeah, I'm gonna change this to a, I almost forgot what I was doing. This will be an age box. I want to go sideways instead of vertical. And then, I guess, can you create like a center container, and then you put, actually it should be a center container, and then this is in the center container. That works. And then these are way too small, like for the screen, which is pretty funny. Is there like a minimum size that you can make this thing? I guess you could, yeah, you could say layout minimum size. Or you could expand and then set these guys up to expand as well, and then stretch them. Anyway, we'll work on that later. That's not important to the functionality of it. It like looks funny, but it's more about getting it working than just making it look good. As has been this entire month of March, making things work. I think next month might be the month where we start looking at how things look, which will be difficult because I am not an artist. Okay, so in terms of like how I think this should work, you can have these slots that you're able to like put your mod chips in, right? But then you also need to collect these like power-ups, so they're like augmentations almost. Like say it makes you sprint faster, makes you fall slower, whatever it is, makes you be able to hold onto the wall. Just small things that give you a little bit of help maybe makes the amount of energy that you regenerate from landing a hit be greater or something like that. I was thinking one could be fun would be like automatic firing, like you do like a burst shot but you do less damage and stuff like that. Like all of these things are really easy to do, but we do need a visual representation of what they are, so we have to do that with at least one. But in my mind, it's like you're gonna have like your actual slots, like the things you can add to, like the number of mods that you can have at any given time, which we'll say like let's start with 3, and then maybe you can expand these as you find them in the world. And then you're gonna have a selection of these things, which will also be probably not slots. There might be something else like a I mean, could they be the same thing? Honestly, probably. Change this to change type to texture button, or is it? What does this just become the button? What does this become the button? And you fill out the icon when you make it. But we also need a resource to hold the information about what this is even. Hey, check your spam folder. No, I saw your email, Bird Circuit. Thank you for sending that. I have read it, but also I need to like read it. You know what I mean? Like I need to understand that. No, I got it. I meant to look, I was trying to find you on Discord, but I couldn't find you. To thank you for that. So sorry. And then I couldn't reply because, yeah, it's hard to explain. Basically, I didn't set my email account up properly on my mobile, which is where I read most of my emails. I can't reply off my phone, but I can on my computer, but I'm not logged into the account. As long as it got past the spam guides, yes it did. Okay, so we need a resource, don't we? At the end of the day. For what this is, it's very similar to... We've made one! On Monday, I just forgot. So we got the icon. Oh, and we did make an icon, didn't we? We drew one. UI button, strong grip. Right? So we can say this is the small icon, large icon, I don't know. It's both for now. And basically we can say that this would give a script to this. Menus, scripts, mod chips slot. Yes, create. And this will be a class name of mod chip. Slot. This is wrong. Mod chip slot. Okay. And this will just have an export bar mod chip. This is wrong too. Mod underscore chip and of type mod chip. Right. So you can just drag and drop your mod chip onto this. And when you do that, we will set the background icon and the chip icon. So we need to, well, actually background icon doesn't need to change, but like set mod chip. It's going to take mod. I'll be the same, but we'll just call it mod. Pass and then kind of small to read, eh? Or am I old? And then we also need the chip icon. Export. But chip icon. This is a text direct. Let me click this and we assign it to that. And then basically we will just say chip icon dot texture is equal to mod chip dot I guess large texture, large icon. Makes more sense because it's going to be in the thing, but like they're the same icon right now, but yeah. Use that one. Okay. Or even if you say mod chip equals mod chip equals mod, yeah, so you set the mod. Okay. The icon, there's nothing else to do right now. And I guess we'll make a get mod chip. And then it's just return. Okay. Alright, so we're also going to need, the player's going to need to have a list. So we're going to have this show up, but this here, this list is going to need to be a list of ones that the player has available to them. So here we need to say, yeah, loop through and show all of these, and these are the equipped ones. So we'll worry about that in a second. Let's just get the player going. Good old iteration. Yep. Yep. Good old iteration. Task menu. Facility entry. I just need the player. Now I guess we just dump this on the player data because that's where we put everything so far, and it's not like it's out of control yet. It's very readable if you ask me. We've got the inventory. I say it's pretty much the same thing. Could we even just loop through the inventory and look for mod chips? That might be the way to go. Except for the fact that you can't use them. So I think there's like some inbuilt assumptions around I think I'll make it a separate list. But like I was like, yeah, it could just be in the inventory. But then the inventory, when it's displayed, assumes that you want to use an item and it's not an item. Actually, yeah, it won't work. It's very much, it assumes that, so we will need like a mod chip list. Something like that. Okay. Is it a resource? I suppose it is. It could easily just be a dictionary. But yeah, I'm thinking. Mod chip. Inventory. Inventory, acquired, held. What do we call this? Mod chip list. I'm fine with just calling it that. Mod chop. I'm New Zealand. Okay, so this is going to be pretty similar to the inventory, so let's just take a quick peek at that. We've got add item, remove item, and load inventory data. And then we literally have a dictionary, but we won't even need that because we don't have a quantity. There is no quantity, it's just going to be probably an array. And then when you add one, all you need to do is make sure that it's not already in the list. We probably prevent duplicate acquisition. Like, we don't want them to come across it twice. So like, there's only going to be one location you can get this. Like when you defeat a boss, it drops one. Or when you find a particular shop in the world, it has it and only has one of them. Or like a person can give it to you after you help them out or whatever. So I don't think that's a possibility, but I guess that's fine, whatever. Okay, so it's just an array, and then you have like a check just to make sure, but like probably not a risk. So realistically, you've got at export variable mod chips, and it's an array of mod chips. Should have left the chip off the end. And then you have a function. And it takes a mod. And it returns void. And then we just say if not mod chips dot has mod, then mod chips dot append mod. And that's it. That's really all it needs to do. But do we even remove them? When we equip it, do we remove it, or do we? You know what I mean? Or is it just two lists? It's two lists, right? We just have two separate. Could we do it in the same one? Does the same resource tell us what's equipped or not? I can't see why not. What needs to know about this? I've been thinking. Because I came to the realization the other day that my override stats script is a global. And so I set up this funky signaling system. Like realistically, it's like a global variable, so I can just access it directly. I don't need to do that. But at the same time, I can signal anywhere if I want to. So like, why even have the global override? Just have it set a variable and then unset a variable. I don't know. Okay, so we want to say like if I don't like the if not. I'm going to say if mod chips equipped dot has mod then return. Easier to understand. And then if we also want to say that if mod chip equip dot size is greater than 3, is greater than number of slots. We also need to know about that, right? How many times do I have to type that? That size is greater than or equal to? We probably need to like return a bool. Just to see if it's like okay. And then if we make it through all of this, then we can say, obviously at the end of the chain, it returns true. We can say equip. So basically it doesn't already have it in there. It's not over capacity. Then you can say mod chip equipped.append mod. Right, and then return true. Okay, and I'm going to change this one to be the similar pattern. I much prefer seeing it that way. It's much easier to understand. Okay. I'm thinking of making my own Metrovania. Nice, dude. It's a good little exercise. You have a lot of things to make. You gotta learn a lot. Assuming you don't know a lot already. Maybe you do. It's definitely a journey. Okay, so it's worth it. I enjoy. Let's see how badly I can fail to make the state machine. Oh yeah, that's something I have a lot of experience with, so it's like not hard because I've made so many tutorials about making characters, making state machines. I dedicated like 2 years to just get good at that. Making YouTube videos, not really intentionally. But then the rest is like the same level of difficulty, if not more difficult, honestly. Do you know, like, the finite state machine, in my opinion, they have like, there's add-ons for this, but like, this is my favorite way to do it. I don't forget the name of the add-on. People always say that you should use it, but I've never tried. I prefer the code anyway. I don't like enum state machines. They annoy me. Probably because I have a hard time keeping the code separate. It's easier if it's in a different script. Can't accidentally use code in a different script. Add mod chips. Okay, so we got add and we got equip. Can't remove them. All right. So, okay, so we add them, we equip them. Easy enough, right? And then we just need to have like a mod chip list. So, and then also the player data needs to have a list, needs to extend or like have an export variable for a mod chip list. And then we can just like use the player data to hold that information. Just like we do everything else. Player data. Probably put these into different categories, right? Mod chip. Did I class that? Or did I forget? Didn't save it. Okay. Node is export only supported in the node derived classes, but in the current class it inherits a resource. What is a mod chip list? Oh. Whoops. That was meant to be a resource. Okay. So you basically got your health, energy. These are like your actual numbers, max energy. And then you've got, oh, then money as well. I don't know, man. Whatever. I don't need to break them up into categories in the list. I have a fairly good idea, but we'll see. Okay, so we've got that. Then we need to have, we just need to add one so that we can actually play around with this, which is, we've got one already. So the mod chip list, we probably just need to create a player mod chip list. create a resource. List. We don't really need to just mod chip list. Honestly, we're not going to need to store this because we're going to recreate it every time we save and load the game. But I guess I'll just create one anyway as like a starting. So then we can just say the starting chip is the one I made. What did I call it? Grip or whatever? Gorilla Grip? Ultra Grip? Okay, cool. So you got the one mod chip, we've got nothing equipped. So now we just need to get access to this when we look at the menu. This is the challenging bit because if it's on the player, then I can get to the player data, but I don't know how quickly it's updated. So from the menu, you can get the player data from the game state. But the game state isn't in charge of the player data, the player is. So like it's not necessarily always up to date. But whatever. So this really bad UI, essentially we've got what is equipped and then we've got like actual chips available. So what we want to do is create a script here for this mod chip menu. And we'll put it in the scripts folder. Menu. Yeah, new folder. I feel like I'm going to need multiple scripts. Okay. Let's give it a class name just in case. Okay, so what we can do is basically create a function called initialize chip menu. I don't know. Call it that. And it's going to take a list of it's going to take the resource mod chip list, right? The mod list will be the mod chip list. It's easiest if we just pass the entire thing. So we're going to need to know everything. Tell me all about it. That's what the it's going to say. And so we need to know, we need access to, firstly, okay, let's put a pass here. So the first thing we need is an export variable access to the equipped list. Which is just an HBox container, I guess. Let's just make it a control mode. We don't need to get specific and it might change. And then we also need access to the actual mod list. Not to be confused with the mod view list, because it's the control. My alarm again. One day I'll remember to turn that off before I go live. And I set it to that. And this will be this. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go for I in mod list dot mod chips, and then that will be the mod view list dot, and we need a copy, we need a preload of the mod chip slot. Mod chip slot. So we're going to preload there. Mod view list dot agile, right? So we just need to go var mod chip. We probably need to create a separate function for this, so let's just go pass. function called create mod chip slot. Well, your new streaming means I catch you more often. Yeah, Mr. Sparkle, I am here. It's a shorter stream, but it just means that I can be very consistent with it, because I'm never going to have life in the way at 6 AM. No one's disturbing me or asking me to do things. This is just a mod chip. We're out. Okay, so we go pass on that. So basically we're going to go var new chip slot, and it's a mod chip slot, and it's equal to mod chip slot dot instantiate, right? And then we just say the new chip slot new dot chip icon dot instantiate. What do we call it? There's a script on this. State machines can start with really basic if your statements and build from there. With if statements, yeah. I mean, yeah, you could do it with match as well. Match is pretty good. There's a set mod chip function. That is what we called it. Okay, fine. Yeah. Actually, I think about like the way that I learned. And my path was to do a state machine with an enumerator, which is a really common way to do it. And then I made a whole game with that. Realized that it was like kind of buggy. Set on a journey to learn how to do a state machine with nodes instead. And then you're off to the races. But you do sort of have to go through that learning. Invalid argument for set mod chip. Argument 1 should be a mod chip, but is mod chip slot. We're passing the mod. There you go. Wrong thing. Okay, so I think that's really it. Create mod chip. Do we return it? I guess. Yeah, we should return the mod chip slot. And then return. And then we can put it wherever we need to, whether it's like item list or whatever. Or I in mod chip list, then we can say if it's equipped as in the list. That is the question. I guess let's just start with this and we'll worry about that later. Okay, so for I in mod chips, we go var new mod, and it's a mod chip slot. Equals create mod chip slot, and we pass in I. Right, this is not typed. It's going to be a mod chip. Why is it giving me a warning? Oh, because I'm not doing anything with it. And then we just go, because we're in initialize chip menu, this is mod lists. So we're actually going to the item list. Mod view list, excuse me. Dot add child. New slot. Okay. And then for I in, and it's a mod chip again, in mod list dot equip, mod chips equipped. We need to create the empty slots. So the other thing is we need to display how many slots are available. So we probably need to get access to that. So probably not an equip. So we could say var equip slots. And this is just an array of mod chip slots. It's this awkward. We could just like get children, but like I feel like we store it as a variable and then we can just deal with that. So then we can say for, not for mod chips equipped, but actually for equipment slots, mod chip slots, for iron mod chip slots, and this is just an int. We're going to create a bunch of empty mod chips, right? And then go from there. Will it bug out? I don't know. I guess we'll see. So we can go var new slot. Is equal to create mod chip slot, and we're going to pass in mod, just pass in an empty one, mod chip dot new, right? We just pass in an empty one, and then we just add that to the mod view list, but also to the equipment slot. So we say equip slot dot append new slot, and then also mod view list dot add child new slot. Okay, and that will probably work. The last thing we need to do, and this probably can be a separate function, potentially, mod chips gear you can equip. It's like slight augmentation. So think of the crest system in like Hollow Knight, or it depends like how many Metroidvanias you've played. Even back in like the Castlevania series on the Game Boy Advance, they had what was called souls. They had a soul system, and you could equip up to 3 different souls. And basically, I really like the system from the Game Boy series. Like, you had one that affects your combat, one that affects your like health or armor, and then one that affected your movement or whatever. I think that's really fun. I don't know if I'm going to do that, or if I'm just going to do like the Hollow Knight style, where it's just like you can have up to how many. I guess the Castlevania, like Aria of Sorrows on the Game Boy, is kind of similar to what like Silksong did, where you had like the 3 different kinds. Like they had yellow, blue. Was it yellow, blue, red? And you could only equip 2 for those. But like in Aria of Sorrows, you could just have 1. And so they're not meant to be like major upgrades. The soul slots are only allowed for a specific soul type. Yes, I don't think I'm gonna do that. Because it would be too hard. You can just have up to 3, I don't care. It depends. We'll see. But it's meant to allow for like emergent gameplay, so you can build up a character to like be more aggressive, defensive, whatever. Yeah, sorry, no. I caused a memory leak and Firefox just crashed. Whoa, what the heck? Damn, that's crazy. I didn't know Firefox could do that. So we equip them, right? Okay, so we got the mod chip slot, and then we equip that. All right, we have to actually occupy any equipped ones. So we have to go. Do we create? I guess we could do it in the same function. This is meant to be initialize the menu, so this is going to be called when it's brought into view, or perhaps when it's changed. I don't know, but we'll say for I in mod list dot mod chips equipped, and then we can say. Do we need to loop through the array, or we can just say we can go and get the same number, or do we just trust that it's never going to be? It's going to be like the same amount because of this. We also need a function, actually, now that I think about it, equip. Equip mod. Do we do something like that, or do we go... What order of operations do we do? Because we have like... have to equip it. I guess we could just... create mod chip. Do we just go and go var I'm trying to think what is easier here. So we have to get an open slot. That's what we need. You know what I mean? For how do we know if they're equipped? Actually, that's a really good question. Like, we just created a bunch of empty slots, but like from our perspective, like the code's perspective, there's no way for it to know whether or not the slot is equipped or not. You know what I mean? So we're just creating a bunch of like empty slots because they need to be visually shown there to say like you have like 3 slots available, but like from the code's perspective, it doesn't know the difference between a slot that is just there for visual aspects or not. Now you can create a different object for that so you can test it. You could also create a flag for the mod chip, right? Or you could actually, honestly, you could just there's like way more going on here. Class is a mod chip? No, not this. I'm looking at the wrong object. The mod chip slot. You could just test to see if there is a mod. Honestly, that's probably the way to go. Like to say, hey, is there something in this export here? If not, then it's a free slot. And so we could probably create a function to find the next free slot and then use it here. That's probably what I'm gonna do, you know? And so this will return a mod chip slot. So I'm like reversing my chair. I need to check if Angel's behind me or not. I want to run her over. Okay, next monster. So we're just gonna go for, we just loop through them for iron mod equip, for iron equip slots, right? A collectible consumable that never ends is a collectible. That's very good. I should probably have called it that. Well, I forget what I called it. I just called it a list, right? Good word for that. Okay, so we go through the slots. And basically just go, if I is mod chip, it knows what it is. So for this is a mod chip slot, right? All this without coffee. Damn, that's crazy. If I mod chip, then we return that. No, then we continue, right? And then if we get to here, then it's an empty slot and we can return it. So we probably just go like var next slot. It's a mod chip slot. And then here we can say next slot equals I, and then we can go return I. Or what is it, like break? Is break a keyword in, I think it is, yeah, then we can break out and then we can return. There we go. I was like, is break a keyword in Godot? I forget. Is that allowed? Okay, so then we can say for I and mod chip equipped, get next slot of equip slot. There's a mod chip slot equal to Lenovo ads. Okay. Shout out to Lenovo. Used to be good, but now it's not. Just like everything. Am I right? Equip slot equals mod chip slot, and then we, yeah, so we go equals to get next slot. Get next mod slot, and then we can say equip slot dot set mod, and then pass in I, because that is going to be a mod chip. Okay. Easy. Easy, easy, easy. Okay, so what happens when we actually click to equip? Maybe we should just make sure that it can occupy. Let's just start here and call this function, and we should expect to see nothing really. We should expect to see nothing. The visual representation is pretty bad at the moment. So we've just got like this flow container here, which isn't even sitting correctly. Like, why are they not aligned properly? What's going on with this? I just put that anywhere. Why does it do that? Whatever. So we expect the ultra grip to show up here, and these to just be empty. Although we delete them now. And then, but here's the thing, right? We don't really, when we call this, we're going to call it like, when you show the menu, right? We don't really need to call it every single time. We certainly can call it every single time, but we are doing a lot of creation here. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So when there's a change to the menu, so we could set up a signal to signal out to like the signal manager whenever we add something to the equipment slot to like the mod chips. So when you pick one up, it can update this in the background. It doesn't need to be like when you're viewing it. So this is really just something you're going to call one time. Is it at runtime? Gotta get dinner started? Have a good day, dude. Or have a good dinner. What's for dinner? This is not something that I've been struggling with. I struggle with the inventory too. And if I run this, I'm pretty sure like when I run the game for the first time, it doesn't like do the menu properly. Like if I click a new game, if it decides to run, So it just says like item name. It's like completely unoccupied for everything. And I mean, this is no good. And I don't think, even if you buy something, right? How much money do I don't have any money. There's no sounds coming from this. Click cancel. I can't even get out of this. What the hell? What did I change here? Okay, new problems. Anyway, what I was trying to say is, if you go back, the menu shows up. Like the inventory shows up. Oh, that works now. Did it bug out or something? That was weird. Okay. Something I definitely need to look into. The point is, it doesn't start. So like there's issues there when I do this, but only when you start a new game. I guess the question is like, we probably do a signal from the player, since he's going to be the one picking stuff up. So I would say like there's a lot here, right, in the ready function that we do. And then we also have the initial player function as well. So what we need to do is probably connect a signal of some kind, and when we... Makes me wonder, does he have, like, how does, when we pick something up, how does that work? I've forgotten already. I guess it doesn't go through the player. On inventory used does. On velocity change, physics process, set movement state, add movement state. Is there anything in here for inventory? On inventory used, on mission objective met, on mission given. Okay, so not really much in here, eh? So I'm guessing then the inventory is in control of communicating that. When we add an item, we emit a signal. And when we load inventory data, that's a function. So on inventory updated then, in the inventory menu, updated, consumed. So we build the inventory when it gets... Okay, so, I mean, to be fair, like, we are doing the same thing for the inventory. We are literally clearing it and then repopulating and instantiating items. I wonder if that'll become a problem if your inventory is really big. Probably do that on a second thread or something. Also, like, it probably makes more sense to loop through and find the differences and only create those. I'll worry about that another time. But the point is, when we build the inventory, we're doing the same thing. I want to look at a different way to do this. Load inventory data, and we go through that. So do we never call like on inventory updated when we load inventory data? This gets called by the game state, by the way, when we load the game. You just load data. Player data.inventory, load inventory data. But this is only for ingest load. on start game. It's a new game, right? New game from menu. Fresh load inventory, fresh load level, load game menu, or level changed. On inventory updated emit, inventory.new. Yeah, I don't know about that. Signal manager.inventory.up. That's not even like right, because the player starts with an inventory. Isn't it necessary just to... I'm a bit confused about, like, I guess what I'm trying to understand is like, okay, so when you load the game, we load the inventory data, and in the inventory menu, or not the inventory menu, in the, here we set the items. We never call on inventory updated. We're not calling add items here. We're just adding them directly to the dictionary. We're not adding these items to the inventory. World inventory and player inventory. Not really, no. The player has it all, and then the game state periodically gets updated the player data, but the player data has everything, and it emits a signal from that. Although there is questions about who's in charge of what, I guess. It's still not the best. I guess there's an argument to say that it should all just be on the game state. And then that the player should even just like take it from there. Rather than it occupying... And basically when you save the game, it gets an updated version. Because the game state, basically what the game state's doing with it, if you look at what it does, it literally is just saying player data, inventory, just load inventory data. This is when you load the game. So like that's the kind of thing the game state's in charge of. And then it's given to the player after that, because you're playing the game. And the player will, when you save the game, there's an update player. And you update the data on this side and then save the game with it. So that's sort of what it does. So it's not a reliable place to access the data from, which is why when I look at the inventory menu, we are not going to the game state, I don't believe. No, we're not going to the game state. We're getting it from a signal which comes from the inventory, which is on the player. Right, because it wouldn't make sense to go to the game state for this. But yeah, I'm just kind of curious about that bug. And then also like, it works, but I'm not 100% happy with the way I'm doing it. But at the same time, if it's not aware, then how do you get this information? You know what I mean? It's not aware of the player. I still think you could loop through your like current list, right? Anyway, I'm getting kind of sidetracked and distracted by this. It's a similar problem because they are very similar things. But at the same time. So what I want to do, I mean, we do it with signals. I think that makes the most sense. So when the list is updated, so when we get a new mod, we emit that to the so when we add one, we'll have a signal that will emit. It'll be on the signal It'll be our signal manager. But so we'll emit that signal, and then the inventory will get that information and update it in the background. But I don't want to create like a new node every time we do that. Like I'm doing in the inventory. I think we should change that because that's just not like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, why would you delete everything you have and recreate it? Like, just look at what you got and compare it to what you already have, and then create the differences. You know what I mean? Just saying hi before bed. Hope your eye is good. Is my eye okay? It's so funny. Like, I put my face in the camera. It's like, because it's a fisheye lens, it's not the right. Like, I'm looking at it. I'm not even on screen. Are my eyes okay? Nah. What's wrong with my eyes? I assume you meant day. It will be, thank you. Hope your night is good. Okay, so yeah, I don't... Just a conversation starter? Could you imagine? Just walk up to somebody and be like, hope your eye's okay. I'll try that when I'm at a party next. I'll go to an event, I'll ask them, how's your eye? Smooth move. Mod shifts to depend. And then yeah, I guess we just need to make a signal. Here's the thing though. It's kind of funny. Project is getting big. Yeah, project is really big. There's a lot of stuff. I'm gonna put them here in between inventory because they're kind of the same. On mod chip. Collected. Chip list. So the thing is, the actual resource is responsible for the collection, right? But the equipness is actually going to be from something from the visual, like when you use it or whatever. So there'll be that signal. Okay, I don't need to see that. And we can just say signal manager dot mod chip collected dot emit, and then we just emit the list. Okay. However, we have to call off this function assumes to be called. So now we have a question of like, it's easy for the list because obviously the inventory is not going to be really responsible for that. We're gonna like when you'll pick it up in the world, so it'll be like an area. We call it on the player. That's super easy. We can just say player.add mod chip or player.acquire mod chip or something like that. That's super easy, but the equipment of it is going to come from that. So we kind of need to we need this resource. Because we have to be able to call this function. We could emit a signal to pass it back to itself. That's kind of sketch though. I don't like that. We can Where's the mod menu? Could we, like, could you go game state? Couldn't you have the mod chip list listen to signals instead of emitting them? Yeah, it can do both. But it also needs to return information as well. So I guess like, because you could go game state.player, though we don't have access to the player on the game state, which is actually probably for the best. But yeah, what you could do is you could signal out, you could say request. So you basically, what am I thinking? Go mod chip list. It doesn't have a ready function. So you would need to connect this in the player menu. This is a resource. I suppose there's a net, but like that's kind of not. Do you use a net the same way you use ready? I don't think so, right? What does the documentation say about this? Called when the object script is instantiated, often after the object is instantiated in memory through object.new, the Genius script or a new Godot object. It can be defined to take in parameters. This method is similar to a constructor in most programming languages. If a init is defined with the required parameter, the object with script may only be created directly. If any other means, such as pack.instantiate, no.duplicate are used, the script's instantiation will fail. Okay. Like a pickup script on the player that emits a signal. The list is listing for, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's literally it. Yeah, because what I'll do here, when you add, you go like this, you do this, and the inventory will just like, because the player is in charge of this, when the player picks it up, the player can call this function directly. It's no problem. But it's when you get to the menu that it becomes an issue. So how does the menu know that it has that? Well, we emit a signal to it. But how does, so the equipment, so when you actually equip, you need to call it on the menu, because the menu is the thing that's in charge of that. So this function, which is what we want to call, isn't out there, but we could get access to it. You know what I mean? Or even the menu doesn't, I don't think the menu's not player aware. So, which I think is a good thing. Like, you don't want it to be. We could get access to it. We could wait for a callback. I don't like that though. That's kind of clunky. We could also just emit a signal, like, to tell it what the list is. Like, give it access to the same list, which would be pretty easy. You could, there's a bunch of different ways that you can do this, right? It's just deciding on which way is the best. Like, you could just give them access to the same resource. Like, they're identical. It does work that way. But when you save and load, that becomes an issue. So I don't know about this init thing. We can just connect it via the player. The player can connect the signal. I think that's what I do for the inventory. The player's in charge of that. See, player.health, player health container.setmax, player state machine, energy container state machine, item on use, player.inventory, remove item. Oh, it's just emitting signals, not connected to anything. Okay. What if you have multiple profiles to be saved? No, that's not a problem. No, definitely not a problem, because we keep access to that data. So how I've done it in the past, and it's something I'm thinking about here, right? Like, you can have like multiple objects access the same resource. However, what I do when I save and load, so I actually have profiles set up already. So you've got multiple things here with different saves, and they can be infinite because there's like essentially a base resource with nothing on it that everyone gets access to. And then I think this is just for the state machine. Basically the state machine and the player both have access to the exact same file. And all I say when I load the game, I grab a copy of that and then I overwrite its data with the profile data. So it still works, like everything is still the same. But we're taking the user side, which is saved on the app data folder. So like basically how it works in Godot is like, if you go to scene, project scene, open user data folder, you have this folder that gets created by Godot, and here you can save. It's just like a list, big fat list of like things that I'm saving, right? The map positions is actually kind of crazy, but we also have player state data here. So this is like all the different states you've unlocked, right? But when we load up here, we go to the save data, save JSON, right? Here, when we load the player data is a preload, right? So it's a resource. I do a lot with it. Match case, 2 of 2 matches. PD player data equals player data, and then we set. So we set the data on that when we load the game. We override it. But what this allows me to do is make sure that multiple things have access to it. So we could do the same thing. We could do the same thing. It would work. One resource and we override it with the user data. Yep. I'm not a huge fan of it though, because it does require a lot more like handling of the data. Honestly, I haven't had issues with it though. So that exists on the player, and it also exists in the state. I believe in motion, right? So we have it here, and we also have it here. Same exact file. No, I don't. I want to try and keep it less connected. So basically you could just do like a signal and callback. What I want to know is if I do it that way, will it work? Like the same. So if I create a signal, right? Like if I go player data, not even here, if in the signals, I've never tested this before, so it's like kind of a bit signal manager. So if I go on mod chip list requested, and then this will actually be like anything. Doesn't actually have, well, it would be like a variant, right? So I guess we'll just go var, not a var, arg. Anything can request it. And then on mod chip list delivered. I don't know. Sent has to be past tense, and it's like the mod chip list. Actually, you know what? You don't need to have a signal back. You can call it directly on the object that gives it to you. So you pass yourself, and then you can just say, yeah, here it is. bit risky, but and so we can signal to the player, and then the player can give it a copy, but not a duplicate. Since the player's in charge of that. Connect, and then it's like on mod chip list requested. It's a variant, it doesn't matter what. And then, so this gets put in there, and then we can just say, hey, we just, not return, because we need to actually call it on the object. So, dot has dot set, var dot set, and you could just say player data dot mod chip list. Is it just mod chips? Which is a mod chip list. I don't like that. Mod chip collection. Let's go with that. A collection is a better word. I wonder how many places I've got that. So you set that. Set requires a variant. The most important piece of data. Can it be anything? Or you just make it like a node. It'll be more easy if this is a node. Yeah, now it's telling me the proper. So it expects two. It wants a string. Right. So it wants a string. So then we can say that, or we could call a function on the object. I mean, realistically, anything can make this call because it's a global signal. So it's only going to work. Here's what we go. We say, and I guess if this is var, we're going to change this to obj because it's an object now. Say if dot has method, and we'll call the method set mod chip list. And then we call it. Right. And then that's mostly safe. However, I mean, you could also use call, right? But whatever. It's gonna need a list. So when does it get access to this though? I don't know, man. The process of this is like kind of sketch. So do you just, when you get the, so when you request it, so you emit the signal and then you get a copy of it and then you've got it for forever? Sleep well, dude. Have a good night. When you get access to the resource, right? Is it the same one? If I make changes to it, will it know? I don't know. And then we also need it in this menu here, initialize mod chip menu. You know? I'm not happy with the way that I'm handling this data. Even with this, I think this is like kind of sketchy because like, how do I know that I've got the correct data? How do I know I'm looking at the right one? I don't, unless the question is, I guess, if I get access to this list, is it going to be the same? Is it going to be like the same kind of thing, or am I going to need to continuously update it? Because if I can just do this on the ready, that's fine. You know, just call it once. I need multiple mod chips, and then I just need to add one, right? And then see what happens, I guess, to test this out, because I don't actually know, and I don't think resources aren't meant to be so if I just have like a list, chip list. It's a mod chip list, right? And then I just set that here. And then we go signal manager dot mod chip requested dot emit, and then pass self. Right, and then it should call this function, right? And in theory, when we show the menu, like when we get, and then you can go mod chip menu, and you connect this signal visible. This is how I've been liking to do this lately. We go and we check the visible. Where is it? Visibility changed. There it is. Visibility changed. And then here you call is visible and visible in tree. I guess you just need to call one. You don't need to call both. You can just say if visible in tree is visible in tree, then you can call initialize chip menu. This is exactly, I said that I didn't want to do this though. I guess you can call like initialize chip menu here, mod chip list, right? Yeah, well, there's nothing to be done here. Because in theory, it should just build it at runtime. Well, when it gets this response back. What do I call initialize player? I can't keep track of what the hell I'm doing. This really just should be in the ready function, right? We need to always connect this, not just when we initialize the player.
Meow.
Hello, Goosefat. How's it going?
Going okay.
That's good, that's good. Okay, so what do we do here? This is not going to work. In-game menu, let's have a look. So we got abilities, then we need the mod chip menu. Add the mod chip menu to this. Mod chip break. What does this got? Oh, visibility change, okay. Okay, so what we expect to happen is, because the player does have a thingo. In the player data, there
How
is
have you been?
No mod chips. Yeah, we're doing alright. We're getting through this. We're trying to add mods to our game. Not mods, and like we're trying to add like augmentations to the player so that we can change the player and the way that it's been augmenting. Mod chip list. Drag that in. Then we have ultra grip. Dude, what are those? Base code. Oh, base code. Nacho spin. Okay. That's a cool little emote. I feel like I have to delete all the saved profiles when I add stuff in. I really need a way of like, at some point I need to sit down and like work out how that I can handle like new information coming into the save data and not like making it break everything. Because at some point, like this game's going to be out there and I don't want it to... Okay. That is different. And this is blank. What the hell? How did I end up with 29 of those? And it's all broken. An interesting bug. Interesting bug for sure. Now it's correct. So the mod chip menu doesn't have anything, or it's just not getting called. Let's do like a couple of breakpoints here. Not even getting called. Am I ever, on the ready function, I am emitting that on mod chip requested. I'm guessing that the player, like this bit here where I said object set, or the fact that I didn't change it in the signal manager to be an object instead of a variant. This is now node obj. I don't think it makes a difference, but okay. Okay. Mod chip list requested. That should be triggering, right? Like we set that to the player and the player gets called. I guess if they're both getting called in the ready function, you know, one tree is getting called before the other. Unfortunately. I thought the player gets created first. But what do I know? Maybe I'm wrong for that. What does the game state do? Like, I don't know. So the game state is responsible for loading the menus. Here, in-game menus and overlays. Let's make this big. So it instantiates them and it adds them as a child, which is where it's going to be like load in-game menu. Okay, so we're calling a function here. We're calling it a few different places depending on what's going on. The fresh load level. And then fresh load level creates the player, or no? Who makes the player? I have forgotten. There's an item. There's like an object in the game level that makes it. But we are just going new scene, add child, set current scene, new level scene. Current scene, current path. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's an object called the game start, which creates the player in the level. It either loads the player data or does this. So I don't know. And then actually saves the game on the ready function. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I might have to think about that. How are we going to get the data across? That'll be probably something, maybe. It's going to be tough because, like, am I going to stream? I got the community game night on Saturday, which will be fun. I should probably create a thing for that. But yeah, the signal system kind of is a bit of a problem when it comes to, like, who's created first. Because I'm sure this is being emitted, but it's just not connected to anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's being emitted. And yeah, it's just like not going anywhere, essentially. Because the player hasn't been connected yet. So it's never getting called on this. Because the player hasn't been created yet, which is like, I guess it's lower in the chain. With Ready, it's kind of hard to control that kind of stuff. You shouldn't really try to. Just like not rely on it. So we'll have to think of something there. But I'm going to end early. I've got some stuff to take care of. And I've got some thinking to do. But otherwise, guys, I'll be back on Saturday evening, Australian time, for community game night. And maybe I'll stream on Friday. Maybe. Because I've got work to do. I gotta think about this. I gotta fix this. And come up with a good solution that I'm happy with. And that will work. Alright, guys.